Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And we're up to episode 2 of House of the Dragon, the HBO's attempt to try and save any of the IP that is Game of Thrones, which they thoroughly destroyed. How did they destroy it? By giving it to a couple of cokeheads who had no idea what they were doing. Look, they got through the first few years, okay, when they had the source material, but then success happened, and cocaine. I mean, I don't know that, but it's my assumption, because you gotta be snorting a lot of coke to go, oh man, Game of Thrones season 7 and 8, maybe 6 as well. That's brilliant, just as good as all the other ones, right? So, yeah, they're trying to resurrect this brand. I don't know. This feels like the margarine of Game of Thrones. This feels like the tofu of Game of Thrones. This is like Game of Thrones light. It's really weird. It's kind of similar, but it's just nowhere near as layered and as detailed. And frankly, the characters are not as compelling. You got lots of great actors. What's his name? Paddy, whatever his name is, who's I hope that is his name because he's Irish. It's gonna be really bad if that's not his name. Paddy, big as a C, is his last name. He's like a great character actor. You got Riff Ifans, also a great character. They're just kind of bland in this. The characters are kind of bland. Matt Smith sparkles on the screen. He's fantastic, as is whatever her name is. Well, I say it during the review. Like the two leads are absolutely fantastic. Everything else is a bit meh, a bit like, and you know, there's that long shadow made, that incredibly long shadow made of as I said, the destruction of Game of Thrones. What do you want? It's just I don't think ignoring that is the solution to getting over it. I just don't, right? That's just one man's opinion. So, you know, there's that they got to get over. And while this is not bad, and they're clearly spending a lot of money on it, and I would be amazed if it's not a million times better than Lord of the Rings. Boy, that looks awful, right? That looks genuinely awful. Oh, my God. I watched a trailer of that yesterday. Yeah, it looks nothing like Lord of the Rings whatsoever. So this is kind of like Game of Thrones, right? It going south, right? But it's the magic is gone. Can they rekindle it? Look, they're lucky they got me to a second episode. They're going to a second season. I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Right now, my review is mostly harmless. You know, I could take it, I could leave it. You get one kind of irritating feminist moment in this, which is down from 3 in the first episode. So maybe next week it might be good. I don't know. I don't think they can help themselves. I genuinely don't know. It's not essential viewing, and that's how I would describe it. I mean, it's also hampered because at the same time I'm doing a rewatch of Westworld, which I was somewhat down upon after season 2, but season 4 I thought was fantastic. So I'm doing a rewatch of it, and oh boy, am I loving. I'm on season 1, right? So it's really breathtakingly high quality, and everything I'm watching compares to that is much weaker. The downside about Westworld is this is the 3rd time I've watched it, and you've really got to study it closely to have any idea what bloody hell is going on. But when you do, it's great. It's like about the birth of sentience, and you got, again, lots of great characters, lots of great character actors. Not in this, but what can you do? I'm reminded of the song from the 80s, "Shut Up in Your Face." You know, when I complain, I go, "Hey, what's the matter you?" Hey, if you don't, not from England, you don't remember this. I feel sorry for you. What's the matter you? Hey, why are you looking so sad? Hey, it's not so bad. Hey, it's a nice day. Hey, shut up in your face. So that's how I kind of feel ranking on this, right? Because it's mostly harmless, right? It's mostly harmless, but it's just. Man, there's that long shadow of Game of Thrones, right? There is a very long shadow of the utter rape and dismemberment of Game of Thrones, right? And I'm not sure they can get by. Can they get over it? Who cares? They're making a second season. Nothing matters, right? Absolutely nothing matters. Fine. So I reviewed this in detail for your delight and delectation. We'll go over this together. I reviewed it last night in my live stream. Before we get into it, can I ask you to hit the like, share, and subscribe button, particularly subscribe. I'm nearly at like 3,500 subscribers. I'm like 2 or 3 subscribers out. So if I can get like 5 of you to subscribe, if I get 20 of you to subscribe, oh boy, that would be fantastic. Okay, how do you make a rabbi's nipples tingle? Hit the subscribe button. Now, I don't think you expected to hear that sentence when you woke up this morning, but now you did. You see, these are little bonuses I give you. If you really want to make my nipples tingle, sign up to my Substack. Why would you want to make my nipples tingle? I don't know. I don't want to make anybody's nipples tingle. Well, my good lady wife, obviously. But, generally speaking, I'm not into making people's nipples tingle. I don't know why. It might be because it's a good thing. Maybe you do. Maybe you consider it a good thing. Who knows what dares to dream. But if you really want to go to town with it, sign up my Substack, which is my email newsletter that lets you know what's going on in my world. Basically, it shows you where all my content is, and I put extra stuff on it, like comic strips, and then I have a paid one where you get my full comic strips, right? My I'm doing this one next, I think, the Imperium. I just did this thing over here this month. Look at that stonking great graphic novel. If you like Game of Thrones, you'll probably like that. So it's $5 a month. Sign up for that. That'd be fan-freaking. It's basically a way for you to like throw a couple of digital coppers into the hat, which I very much appreciate. Fine. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Fine. Let me hand over to me from last night. Dun 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 dun. We've stolen the theme tune from. It's exactly the same, right? I mean, it's a different opening theme tune thing, but here, one second. I'm going to pull up their Wikipedia because I can never remember the name of the actors. House of the Dragon. I mean, there's only really one actor I ever want to remember the name of. Blimey, is that? Okay, she's like got dark hair and is like swarthy. The one who plays like the very, who's very, very, very good now, I have to say. Who plays the very Targaryen one. But let me pull up their Wikipedia. Blimey, she really looks different. Wow. Okay, fine. So I have that pulled up. So that will Emma Darcy, right? Emma Darcy. This is a career-making role for her, right? She absolutely. I mean, she in 2 episodes she's dominated this. She goes toe to toe with Matt Smith, and holds the scene with him, right? And he knows how to choose scenery, which he does in this, right? She's very, very, very good. This is absolutely a career-making performance. The show, though, like, firstly, it's like they want you to believe they've just ended Game of Thrones and it was awesome, and now this is a continuation. That's not what happened, right? Right? You raped Game of Thrones in the arse by letting 2 coked-out morons tear it to pieces. Right, you absolutely fucked it over. Its arse is still bloody, right? And now you want to go back and like the use of the Game of Thrones theme music, and the theme, like it basically is like a chessboard again, like a game board again, but now you got like this is blood, but it looks like wax. It shows you the different the different bloodlines that come out from whatever his name, Paddy Constantine is playing the was it King Viserys. They all got cool names. Dun 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 dun. But it's like it's not you can't engender that excitement, right? You fucked that away. Like you really did. I'm sorry. This was dumb. You should have given it its own identity more, right? So and it's not as good as Game of Thrones either, frankly. House of the Dragon, dun, 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 it just doesn't work. Sadly. So this is gory at the beginning. So these people are these Westerosi sailors are nailed to driftwood and let crabs are eating them to death. Like that guy's still alive. He's like, as they're being This beach has been they've been sacked by it's like the Step Islands, I think they called, or two, whatever, something like that. Meanwhile, in the small council, what's the name? Emma Darcy, and she again. How old is she? She is awesome in this. I mean, like, has she been in anything else? I would really like to see her. She's born 27th of June 1992. That means she's older than she's 30. Really? Doesn't look 30. Looks like 16. So what else she been in then? And a theater maker? What? She's she's a English film, television, and theater actor that's appeared in television productions such as Truth Seekers and Wanderlust and House of Dragon. So she went to the Ruskin School of Art and the School of an art school in Oxford, and appeared in several theatre productions, including Romeo and Juliet. They get blah blah blah. Who cares? Crucible. She appearing in theatre. She has also appeared in several television productions, including Truth Seekers, a comedy show starring Nick Frost for Amazon Prime in 2020. They also appeared in Nick Payne's BBC One and Netflix series Wanderlust, and which debuted in 2018. The second series of Amazon is series Hannah. She appears in. Okay, so this is a big role, right? She's done very, very well. Okay, so she's pouring wine at the small council. I mean, like, she's the heir, so she's getting used to it. They're talking about different boring political stuff. In walks this guy. Apparently, he's race swapped. Doesn't really bother me at all. I have no connection to the source material, so like it really doesn't bother me at all. So he's like, well, yeah, another of my shit's been taken. Yeah, you got to do something about this. They're like, well, we can't because it'll start a war because these backed by the free cities and whatever, and it means going to war if we attack them. It's not going to be good. And they go, oh, political stuff. Then she turns around and says, listen, she just makes sense. Like, this character just makes sense. The trouble with this show is, though, I just don't think you have many layered, interesting characters in it like you had with the beginning of Game of Thrones. Like, the beginning of Game of Thrones, you had Tyrion Lannister and Tyrion and what's his name, Lannister? The brother. Oh, what's it called again? Tyrion and Jaime Lannister, right? And Cersei Lannister. All of them very interesting, complex characters. There's basically one character that's like that in this. That's Matt Smith. And then you also had Baratheon, and you had Ned Stark. And then the kids were okay, but everyone's basically at the level the kids were at the beginning. So you don't have those like really interesting layered characters. You can see them trying to put out this, start to put up the political stuff, right? And it's not really working that well, right? So it was played by, was it Rhys Evans, right? Is playing the Hand of the King, right? So she was like, "Look, we have dragon riders, right? I can ride a dragon. I can just knock out a couple of these ships in an afternoon." And she's absolutely right, right? She really is. It's like, I mean, I think just take out one set of the fleet, and they'll piss off. They have unquestionable military superiority. You know, why not use them? They're like, well, we can't do that, blah blah blah, and they send her out to go and pick out the new guy in charge of the gold cloaks. Now Matt Smith's been sent away for 6 months, so they bring out a bunch of people, and they're all like hooray Henrys, right? Who've never really seen combat before, and none of them that impressive. But they're all like political appointees. So she wants to see somebody who's had some combat experience. Dishy bloke from last week's here. She's like, okay, I'll have a bit of him. It looks like, again, I don't know the history. It looks like she's going to be fucking him at some point, right? That looks like where it's going. And they're like, well, politically we should take this person over here. It's like, no, we should have somebody who knows how to fight, who knows what combat is. Meanwhile, the king lost his son and daughter. Very badly telegraphed that. It was very, very badly. What's the word I'm looking for? Very bad bit of storytelling, right? It was like you didn't get the son died, and then if you blinked, you missed. He was he was also wrapped up in his mother's funeral. But anyway, so he's makes his model, and he hangs out with Rhys Evans' daughter, who's same age as his daughter. So I'm guessing about 16 she's supposed to be, right? And it's you do get this weird strange horniness, longing going on, and they both seem kind of into each other. Right, they really do. So he's a big other than being useless, he's the king. Rhys Evans is into Paddy Considine, right? He's into reading the histories, and they make him models based on the things that he's read. And while he's there, they talk about a dragon. One of his dragon models gets broken, right? And they talk, and again, she does seem like, well, I think I could probably be in there, right? She totally seems like she's up for being, and I think she likes the power and position it'll afford her, right? You do see that avarice in there. Meanwhile, so she takes her friend, Emma Darcy, Princess Renara, to go and pray and try and connect to her mother. And she does, and she starts crying, and she starts. Basically, they're dealing with her mother being dead, and it's been 6 months later, essentially, since her mother died. That happened last episode, if nobody noticed. So then, weird scene happens, right? So this all kicked off in the small council. He came in. He was pissed off that he wasn't doing anything to protect his shipping lanes. Protect his ships, and he liked the idea of taking the dragon, right, and dealing with it, but he showed disrespect. So he comes, he makes nice, he apologizes, everyone's nice again. He says, listen, you need to get remarried. I'm the last Valyrian family. I'm the oldest Valyrian family, and I honestly kind of like that he's black with white hair, right? I think that's kind of cool. So, although we're going to find out more about his family as time goes on, but he's like, well, we got a great match for you. You can marry our daughter, and we can join our houses, right? So her daughter is 12, right? It's obviously very young, and he's like, well, this is creepy. I don't want to have to sleep with your daughter. Yeah, I said nobody in Hollywood ever, right? I mean, honestly, I was like. This couldn't have happened under Dan and Days. I mean, the idea of them being aghast at sleeping with a 12-year-old. Aren't they all doing that all the time in Hollywood? Right? It doesn't seem that shocking to me. So anyway, she's like, so let me be straight. You want me to fuck your daughter? And they're like, yes, I very much want you to fuck my daughter. Right? They are up to that. That's it. Come on, it's 2022. The two princes will be scissoring by the end of episode 3. Yeah, I could be up for that. That's you can talk me into it. Absolutely. I'm like, well, I just thought about it. That doesn't sound like a fate worse than death for me, right? That sounds like something I can put up with. No Jason Momoa though, says Paul Tosin. That is true. What are we up to? 5. So it's 5. So then her friend says, listen, you should have he arranges for Prince Renara, whatever her name is, to have dinner with her father. So they can start talking about things, and they're like, look, I did love your mother, right? So basically he's got this whole thing saying, I've got to remarry, and they're kind of pushing me to marry the 12-year-old black kid with white hair. She's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody kind of sees the logic of it. Which the next scene is. So something's happened to his finger. They don't explain it. I don't bloody know. So he's got to let maggots like eat off the dead flesh to save his finger somehow. He puts it in a thing of maggots, and he talks over like the match, right? Of like, well, you know, I'm not sure I'm up for this, and he's like, so like, there's a good bit with Rhys Evans here where he goes, like, yeah, I lost my wife. I don't think I'll be up for fucking a 12-year-old either, right? I don't think I would really be up for that. But the logic of it, really, I don't envy you, but you basically have a duty to do that. He's like, oh, gross. The Grand Master's like, yes, you should certainly fuck that 12-year-old. So the father takes the 12-year-old to meet the king, and like, this is just creepy, right? And it is. It's really creepy, right? And you can feel his discomfort. And she's like, I'll be a good wife, I'll bear you lots of sons. And he's like, is that what your father told you? He says, yes. So what did your mother say? He says, well, I won't have to sleep with you until I'm 14. Well, that's civilized. Meanwhile, we do get our feminist scene of the week. Because, you know, again, what was great about the Game of Thrones universe was everybody was treated like shit equally. Like everybody was always treated terribly, right? Somebody just mentioned Morbius. Mark Lazar mentioned Morbius. I still haven't seen that, right? I hear it was terrible. Everybody says he was the best thing in it. So yeah, we got the feminist scene, right? Because like women just get treated worse in Westeros now, because that's the way it was. And she's like, oh, it annoys you that it basically says, listen, he's going to marry the 12-year-old and start fucking her. And then, yeah, no, I know it's a valid treatment, but I just don't know where his wound came from. So Conrad, does it say anything here in the Wikipedia? Can't see anything. No, it's too brief a thing. Anyway. So she's like, and you're just gonna be bumped out the way. He's gonna have a male heir with a new queen, and that's gonna become king, right? And he's like, no, they say I'm the successor, and it's like, please, you're a woman, and a woman will never be queen. I think it probably will. I think I probably will actually. I think she's probably right. So meanwhile, he's like talks it over with having married this 12-year-old with the girl that he actually the other underage sex that he would actually like to have, right? Rather than marry somebody his age. He's supposed to have kids, okay? And so she's bought him a present, a replacement dragon that she had repaired, and like they obviously like each other, right? It's very creepy. It is very creepy, but they do obviously like each other, which is weird, right? I think it's weird. Again, I just think, look, I think she's into the position and power it'll give her. And it'll be like, well, you know, he'll be dead by the time I'm 40, and I'll be in a pretty darn good position. So then, okay, we have a council meeting, and we actually get a bit of plot happens. One of the dragon keepers come and say, Matt Smith has come and stolen a dragon's egg, right? And it gets worse from there. He's left a message saying that he's having a baby with his with this whore. Matt Smith should have been the lead. I agree with you. He's having this baby with a whore, and it's a Valerian tradition that the baby has a dragon egg in the crib with him. So he came to pick it up, and he took the egg that was to be used for the king's son who died when he was very, very young, right? It's the same that you chose for Prince Balon's cradle. So that he's pissed off. He's like, I'm going to get him. Reserve's like, no, you can't. You're the king. I'll go lead the detachment. Meanwhile, getting creepier, her father says, are you seeing the King's Light? Yeah, you might want to keep him warm. Okay, he's all up for this as well, and they're all very again. I don't think anything's changed. I think things are still as creepy, right? Then Hot Knight comes and takes them to Dragonstone and member berries. We get some member berries. Dan 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 dan, and it's kind of cool. But again, it's like it's such a weak, pale reflection of Game of Thrones, right? And Game of Thrones was so savage and destroyed. It's like I don't think you just bounce back, right? Honestly, and that's how I felt. Like this seems okay. This feels like, but I think they would be better doing Conan, frankly. And still, it's going to make Power of the Rings of Power look like freaking Shakespeare, isn't it? So they go and meet Matt Smith, and he's there with his lady of the night, who is now going to be his bride, and they have a bit of a tense thing. And so Reese Evans is like, "Listen, I'm going to out this guy. Look, you've stolen the egg. I give it back to us, and we might not kill you all, right? Like, what the hell?" And he's like, are you sure you want to do this? And it gets tense, right? It gets tense. And we have swords drawn and his dragon shows up. And again, I guess if you've got a dragon, that's like a major military asset. But then you hear another again. Look, the special effects, fantastic, but honestly, who cares? I mean, like, yeah, it looks very good, but it's like, okay. Then we hear another dragon overhead with something flying overhead, and in comes what's her name? Princess Rhaenyra, right? Comes flying in, and so it's a smaller dragon, right? But like, this is bad news, right? This is like a real show. And look, the bottom line is they got 6 dragons, he's got 1, right? So she climbs down and says, "Listen, look, what the fuck are you doing, right? What are you doing?" So he said, "Look, my father named me Princess Dragonstone. You're here, so. Look, I'm the heir. Not until he comes. He was like, look, I'm the heir. You're gonna have to kill me, right? Basically, it's not to be the heir. You're going to have to. But this scene is a great scene. In like they really do spark off each other, both of them, right? And I can't believe she's 30. She does look 16, right? And he's like, look, I want one for I want the dragon egg for my son, my child. He says, well, is she pregnant? He says, well, yeah, she will be eventually. And he's like, she's all pissed off as she walks away. And it's like, what are you doing? And again, these are good actors doing a good job because you can see how torn he is. He likes being part of his family. He likes her, right? He doesn't want to go to war with her. He honestly, he wants to be the hand of the king because he feels that his king, Paddy Constantine, is being fucked over by everybody and is being a massive pussy, right? So I like how everybody has a positive motivation, right? That makes it kind of realistic. So she gives her the egg, and I like this is a nice little touch that they have to keep it in a steaming hot pit thing, and off she flies, right? So he goes to back, and she's pissed off. Right, she's like, look, you're a Targaryen, right? When they come storming the place, they're not going to kill you. When they come storming the place, they're totally going to kill the whore who called you, who you called wife, right? Yes, I this is not something I can do, so don't worry, everything's going to be okay. But it does seem like she wants to leave, right? She does. I mean, I'm not sure he does. So he's playing with. Meanwhile, Paddy Constantine is playing with his dragon. He's trying to decide what to do. He goes to talk to this bloke. And he says, yeah, listen, you got to marry the 12-year-old. You got to go fuck the 12-year-old. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to fuck a 12-year-old. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra comes home and she's like, I've only got one heir. You can't do that. No. And it's actually quite a nice scene, right? Quite a touching scene. But again, I'm vaguely interested in these characters. That's really it. I'm like, I'm not like, it could have been so big. They just killed it. Anyway, so next day at the small council, he says, "I am going to remarry," right? And like, yay! And I have chosen your best friend, the hot 16-year-old over the hot 12-year-old. I didn't think she was that hot, quite frankly. Although I did like the black skin, white hair. I think that's very cool. Again, Reese says, pleased as punch. Sarah is very, very happy, but he is not. He's like, this is bullshit. Blah! He says, listen, mate. He's like, I'm the captain of your fleet. He's like, yeah, and I'm your king. Are you going to rebel against me? He's like, and he walks away, and she's very, very hurt, right? She's very hurt. So then we have a closing scene, and he's like, he gives him his family history. So listen, I'm an older family than the Targaryens. What's his name again? Varelon, right? Well, we were never dragon lords. We were ship lords, right? We had to like eke out a living. We had to, I've built my place on the small council. I built my place. It's never been inherited by me. I made it off my own back. And I've always seen you as being somewhat the same. And so the camera pans round. And he's talking to Matt Smith, right? Matt Smith was born to Driftwood Mott, I think he's at. And essentially he's saying like this, like, listen, these pirates, like these crab lords that are interrupting shipping, like if they stop shipping, I'm crippled, right? If you make a show, right? If you make a show and take them on, that's going to make you much more powerful. And Matt was going, yes, it will. And he got this weird looking bloke that it ends on. I don't know who he is. I don't know what the story is. Maybe it's something else. So there we go. That's the episode. Is it? I don't know. It's not awful. It had one feminist moment in it. Fine performances. I'm just, again, it's 2 episodes in, so it's not really fair. But I know. When I first saw Game of Thrones, I was instantly transfixed by the characters, right? And I think there was a lot more engaging characters on screen. I mean, again, okay, more engaging. Okay, highly engaging characters on screen in Game of Thrones. Again, we had Jaime, Tyrion, and Cersei Lannister. We had Ned Stark. We had, let me think. Were any of his sons? You had what's his name? Jon Snow. I think also, what's the name? His wife was a compelling character as well. Then you got Baratheon. Yeah, okay. So I'm saying at least 6 or 7 compelling characters. This has 2, right? This is 2. It's just a bit shallow in comparison to Game of Thrones, and also Game of Thrones has been destroyed. I mean, they raped it to death. They Bengazi'd it, right? It's so I don't know. I'm more interested in rewatching Westworld, frankly. If I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do next, it's rewatching Westworld. Here, let's look over this over here. That'll be interesting. Let's see what Culture has to say. They, I do like reading their articles randomly. They have 9 ups and 1 down. Let's see what the ups and downs are, right? A week has passed and fans have barely had time to digest and process the thrilling events of the House of Dragons debut episode. This does seem a bit cocksucky, doesn't it? It does seem a bit like, oh, it had very, very distracting feminist moments, 3 of them in it, right? The whole birth scene, right? The C-section scene. That was, they said it was all about Roe v. Wade, right? I don't agree with the point they were making. The first episode slowly a scene slowly being set for a conflict to come, introducing Current iteration of Targaryens at the beginning to tug the threads on various causes. Okay, blah, 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 blah. David introduced Matt Smith, Damon Targaryen. Yeah, most interesting guy. So down, Paddy Considine. Okay, whatever his name is. Was extreme is an exemplary character actor. The veteran performer has made his name in still independent movies in 2000 and critically acclaimed. Blah blah blah. However, despite Considine's unquestionable pedigree as an actor, something is just not quite right about the portrayal of King Victorious Targaryen. He's not that compelling. I mean, that is true. I mean, that really is true. Constantine's attempt to imbue character with subtle regality often comes across as more hammy and anything else. Again, the character's supposed to be a weak character, right? Because they chose the man over a woman because it's a sexist world all of a sudden. It must be a fight. So he's a down. What's an up? Meet Lady Missaria. Oh, she's going to be a character in it? The absolutely ridiculous accent the showrunners have decided to bestow upon her side. The latest House of Dragon begins exploring the character who was a vital role in the wars to come. Oh, I didn't know that. In the superbly intriguing manner, Prince Daemon's paramour, Missaria. The accent is a bit distracting. Missaria, but again, she's nowhere near as compelling as what's the name, the prostitute that Tyrion Lannister falls in love with, right? I would say she's a lot. Oh, was she a porn star? I think she was actually a porn star, wasn't she? I think she did. I'm not sure. I think somebody in Game of Thrones was actually a porn star as well, which doesn't overly surprise me, obviously. Zara certainly shows she is no meek paramour, content to fade into backdrop. She angrily... See, I'm glad that we had that scene with her. Angrily chastises her, placing her life in danger after Prince's attempt to capture her brother's attention by sending him blah, 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 blah. Without wanting to offer much in spoilers, Masara's steely side foreshadows the epic character arc she is likely to undergo. I mean, are they going to be able to get this done in 2 seasons? Because that's what they got. The pacing of the story, yes, rattle along nicely. Agree. Up, a new yet nostalgic take. No, that was a down. That was shit. Up, the Queen Who Never Was. He got one feminist speech out of her. Don't really care. This week's Court Politics. I kind of miss most of it. The usual Court Politics. I mean, unless it's all about trying to decide to fuck a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old. The usual politics make their welcome return as several key developments in the burgeoning storyline, drawing the usual array of gasps and groans from fans. The High Towers continue to slyly sow seeds that for the thoughts of marriage in the King's Head, while Valerian's also ambitious plot to marry Viserys to their 12-year-old daughter Lyanna. The scene in which the two prospective vastly age-inappropriate cultures walk down the grounds was notably the most wince-inducing moment of the show to date, and tried to bear it. Okay, yeah, but what else is there? Intriguing cracks begin to appear in Rhaenyra and Alicent's relationship as the latter's engagement to King Viserys is revealed. Well, that's right at the end. Rhaenyra is visibly affected by the news, and Corey Valerian's outrage as a reaction of the snubbing of his daughter ominously foreshadows the episode's conclusion, where he's seen plotting with Daemon. I kind of like that. Going against what the king's orders to resolve the conflict that is hurting Valerian family playing out on the stepstones. Led ominously to Crab Feeder. I do like that. I mean, this isn't bad. I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Strange New Worlds, though, right? Fleeing confrontation at Dragonstone, I agree. Major up. Okay, that was very, very, very good. That was the high point of the episode, obviously the most expensive thing. Queen Rhaenyra, don't look now, Westeros. We might have a potential queen on our hands. Yeah, she's obviously the driving force, right? And I think it's going to be much more interesting when what's his name does die and she becomes queen, which I think is supposed to happen. Devious Damon's plot line. That he's stealing the egg. The potential for the what was it? I want to. One would imagine the inclusion of Damon Targaryen's character involved heavily behind HBO's logic to choosing to adapt Fire and Blood for television out of all of Martin's works. So Richard character backstory. Yeah, I listen. It does sound like interesting, but again, there's a lot of. I mean, it's going to take at least a season to. You want to make us forget Game of Thrones, yet remember it at the same time. That's why using the theme tune was a really bad idea. The potential for incredible television Damon represents is on full display again this week. For context, by the time the episode comes to an end, Damon has stolen and returned the dragon egg, defied and insulted the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, engaged in dragon featuring Mexican standoff on Dragonstone Causeway, and is revealed to be plotting. I understand, but I do like how he's conflicted. But that was fantastic. Okay, yeah. Look, they spent a lot of money on that. Matt Smith. Well, I mean, he was basically that was the up from last one as well. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.